So what's the biggest misconception when it comes to artists?
I would say one of the biggest things is pretty much I can talk from like an emergent standpoint, but pretty much I can speak on pretty much you have like this period, like this time period where like you're like hot and like you're emerging and stuff. Then like while you're emerging, you're still emerging, but people thinking because like your work like so much in demand or like your work getting so much, like people thinking that like you already made it pretty much. Then you got like this kind of like period or like I want to call it almost like a downslope or a slowdown where like you emerge, people see who you are, then pretty much you get to this point where like you feel like people not wanting your work as much anymore. But I would say just to piggyback off that, the best thing you can do with that is just pretty much expand and just go into a different market. So that's the only thing I can talk about pretty much with like when it comes to like artists dealing with that pretty much.
What is that time frame pretty standard? Do you notice that like somebody discovers you and then kind of the interest starts to go down over a certain period of time, or is it just because the engagement kind of starts to dwindle out? What explain that?
I think it like depends on the artist in general. So I think it depends like how the artist adapts and how the artist like changes pretty much. Because like with me, people talk about like how like my trajectory was and like how they never seen like a person like me or people in general like kind of climb and had that crazy trajectory like how I had. Like my trajectory is only like been alive probably for about like this about a year or two for me. So mine's just different pretty much. I had like a good business mindset when it came to being an artist, and I applied that. So like I was able to like keep going. And like with me, I'm always in fear or worried about pretty much saturation because I've been talked about that a lot of times. People like, well, don't show your work too much or like try to keep it like in secrecy. Like I don't know, that's how art is, but like with me,
What's the I guess the meaning behind don't share your work too much? Like what's that dialogue like? Because I think
Mhm.
in today's world, it's almost like we feel we have to overproduce in order to compete with attention. It doesn't matter what industry. So, but I also understand at the same token, I've heard the saying like, don't tell people what you're doing until, it's done. Just do it.
Yeah. I would say like really not like the saturation part. Like to me, I done got to a point with my career like I was about to like slow down because I'm like I don't want people to see my work as much because like I kind of been everywhere, but it's kind of like the opposite right now. Like I'm in a new stage where I have hit a certain trajectory or something big happened for me, and people like we really want your work. So I got even new collectors and I got new people that want my work. So like I said, I thought about slowing down, but even for me, I'm not about to slow down at all. Like I was just at home working on two pieces today. So yeah.
I'm curious about your mindset on a musical artist can produce one track
Mhm.
and then tour the world for years on that one track.
Yeah.
How do you think that ties into the world of fine art and for muralists? Because once it's out there or it sells, it's kind of like one and done. But what's your mindset on how to extend the longevity of that single piece?
Just that single piece, it happens with time. A lot of times it just happens overnight, with like certain artists and stuff. But like what I think people should do is I would just like keep going at it. I don't like I'm never satisfied. I never slow down. So like I just tell people to just like stay at it pretty much and like you'll be all good. So
How can an artist get more out of a single piece?
out of a single piece. One thing I tell artists, I was just talking to somebody about this morning. Always try to make pieces where you put yourself into the piece and you want people to like buy you, but make something that's gonna be relatable and everybody can relate to and everybody can like grasp to. Because if you try to be so different where you just like it do get to a point where like you like I don't care about the money, like I just want to get my point across like that. But like with me, I'm always looking at things from a profit standpoint. So
Are you talking about like a self-portrait, put themselves in the piece, or
no, I'm talking about like you ever had it where somebody's putting too much of their self into like a concept
I
or
always hear
idea.
artists say that this
Yeah.
piece is in development. It's still not done.
Yeah, but it just be the simple fact of like people be so obsessed and like I get it, like you might not hit like what you're trying to hit on the nail right away, but what happens is people be like, why my art not selling? Or like why is this not working? And like just try something different, but try it's that saying that people say a lot too, like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Am I correct? So like, and it's a lot where people try to be so different because we in this day and age where like you can't really reinvent the wheel. You feel me? So like, it's nothing wrong with piggybacking or even like trying to relate to something that always exists. People trying to create stuff that don't exist a lot of times, and a lot of times it just don't work because like it just doesn't. So yeah.
And I think too that the more genuine and authentic, because what I hear when you say put yourself into it, like your emotions into it.
You gotta balance.
Yeah.
You gotta balance. That's what anything in life. You gotta balance where you put yourself into it, but you gotta balance where I'm sorry, we're adults. Like people got like lives they wanna live and stuff. Like you gotta find a way to like attach a profit to it or make it make sense where it's a profit attached to it. Cause if it's not, then why are you doing it? Like it's cool if you wanna like passion project, stuff like that, but like what's the best feeling like waking up doing something you love to do because yeah, you got the talent for it, but then you found out like how to profit and make money off of it. So I feel like that's the biggest and that's the best feeling. Like
Do you think that there's also like a level of vulnerability that comes with it? Because it's almost like you hear musical artists say all the time, like they pour their heart and soul into it and they make themselves very vulnerable in order to come out with the most popular tracks.
yeah.
Do you feel like there's that same kind of level of you have to be so authentic to a point where it makes people feel something, not just
Yeah.
excited to see it?
I feel like with life now, cause like how we got technology, especially like social media and stuff, like that's just how life is set up nowadays. Like if you look, if you look back then, maybe 10 years ago, or I would even push it back like a good 20. If you push it back like 20, you see little kids, they don't play no more. They don't go outside. They don't play. They don't do none of that stuff. They go on YouTube and they watch other kids play. So what's the thing people doing now is people watching other people live life, and that's just the new day and age we live in. So that's why I would take advantage of tell your story, be vulnerable. Like your story or something that you go through might be something like somebody don't can't even relate to, and they because they can't live it, they gonna watch your story or listen to what you.
I'm curious about your thoughts because that reminds me of I heard somebody talk about like documenting your journey.
Yeah.
And you just said that there are some times where people tell you not to share as much.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on live streaming your process, like creating a piece from beginning to end?
Oh, we in that day age for real. Like I feel like people should do that because if you look at like you got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got Instagram, and like
And these algorithms favor people that do
video.
yeah,
So yeah, so
and
if
live
you-
video too.
yeah, if you do the video, they picking up on that, and like you can make money just off that, honestly. So like, say somebody wants to be an artist, and there's so many routes you can go to be an artist. But like, say if you like, I don't want to go like the fine art route where like I want to be in galleries, museums, and stuff like that. That's a little bit more prestigious, I guess. But we live in a new day and age. Um you be a content creator, and content creator can just be simply you like going through the steps of like you painting the picture and like you get paid. So like I think it's another form of being an artist too. It's like commercial, and I would even say it's three categories. I would say like prestigious for fine art. You got commercial, then you got I would say social. Honestly, just for like social.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
creativity, anybody that's creative, whether it's a fashion designer, a makeup artist, a contemporary artist, there's a level of emotion that triggers an action.
yeah,
You know, so if like somebody connects to somebody's journey because of, they were reminded them of their mother, or they reminded them of a nostalgic moment growing up, it's easier to attach yourself to that person
yeah.
because of how vulnerable they allowed themselves to be to you, you
Mhm.
know? So it's almost like, too, a level of inspiration, because I think today the conversation of mental health is such a huge um, shared discussion that didn't exist. And also, I want to throw in that it's not a common conversation in like the Hispanic community, or in your like any ethnic community, whether it's, I mean, I don't want to speak for every community, but I know that specifically for my community, the Hispanic community, mental health was never really something that we openly talked about. But many artists that I've met have shared that art has been a form of healing for them.
Yeah.
And even for non-artists that like were just in the space engaging with artists,
Mhm.
they felt like they were going through a process of healing. So how do you think art ties into the healing process or journey, both like on a personal level, but then also like on a larger social scale?
Man, I feel like art, like with me especially, like when I do art, pretty much it's a form of healing. And like how I tell people, people tell me how I come up with my concepts, how I come up with my stories, and I just basically paint my story basically. And like I can only paint things that I relate to. So a lot of times, like when I first started painting, when I joined Breakfast Club, that was about like probably like this going on year two, Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club. And my narrative was pretty much what really got people attached to me was pretty much like the narrative of like me not seeing my kids and stuff. So people was really attached to that. I did like a lot of paintings where you wouldn't see like the kids' faces and stuff, just because like I had like tried to depict the picture. I wanted people to, when I first started my journey, and that's what helped me out. I wanted people to know why I paint, pretty much. That's all I wanted people to know, why I did it. So I made it clear as day as like why I painted. So I stuck to my narrative, and like I just grew, and like I just made sure that series was like very successful pretty much.
So what is that why? Why do you paint?
Why I paint? So I paint because I was dealing like for a while because I wasn't like I don't get to see I got two daughters. I wasn't seeing my kids like I wanted to, and like it was tough on me. It was real tough. So like what I would do is, and pretty much it's my narrative now when I paint. Anytime I paint, it's pretty much a message, or I'm leaving like a trail to like my kids. So like one day when they get older, like they won't, cause I went this like I done been through this too. Like I went through the same process with my parents. It kind of sucks that my kids going through the same process. So like me already being familiar with the process, I'm leaving like a trail. I'm leaving messages for my kids. So like one day when they able to like view everything, or when they able or they're old enough, like they won't be so angry or so confused. So yeah, so that's why I do it. I encourage people, and I give people that message all the time, like a form of like fuel or motivation. Mine's is I turn negative into positive. So like if people ever looking for like some type of like fuel or motivation to influence them to do great things, just take the stuff you really going through, and it'd be tough, and turn that into a mentality of like you make it to positive things. So yeah.
So you've experienced significant life events.
Mhm.
How is fatherhood, specifically the challenges
Yeah.
that come with it, shaped kind of the narrative style of your work?
It just always had me preparing for the future. So how I even started off painting, this had to be probably like 6, maybe 8 years ago when I first started off like actually painting. I had got a grant to for my clothing line that I was doing back in Piney. I had a grant for it. Then like I had a couple more dollars like towards the end of my grant. I'm like, I want to do something I really want to do. So I was like, let me paint. And I started painting. I really got obsessed with it. I got so obsessed with it, like my business partner, my camera guy at the time, I'm like, just run the business this summer. Like I kind of didn't care about it. And I had just got like a grant to like get like inventory. Like I had work to honestly do, but I had just got something new thrown in my face and I got obsessed with it.
So what triggered that passion to start painting?
Oh, to paint, I started painting. I started painting these big old images, and like the one thing I like in my eyes, I didn't know how to price my work. I just didn't. Like if you not around like other like like-minded individuals, like you just not gonna know. So like I never knew how to price my work, and I just thought my stuff was just worth I'm like this gonna be worth like 40,000, 20,000. So how I used to paint was I was like, if anything was ever to happen to me, because of my trajectory of like what I done did and like what I got going on, the paintings that I had worked on, I had like probably like 8 big ones. I was like, if they don't sell, who cares? They'll just be passed down to my kids. And even though I might not be alive, when my kids get older enough to attain this would be worth some money just because of the trajectory of the work that I put in. So yeah, so that's how I used to think pretty much.
So most recently you won the Gucci Changemakers Award.
Mhm.
Tell me about what has the reception been like since you won that award?
With that, it's been real good. I've been getting a lot of feedback about it. I feel like the biggest thing I done got pretty much is like a lot of like congratulations, which I really much
Were these
appreciate.
from like people that you already knew or like people that just
Man, it's been from everybody. Like I see somebody on the street and somebody like recognize me,
wow, really?
and they'd be like, "Congrats!" Like I had people all the time. Like now, I just be out and about, and like people stop. They want to talk to me. A lot of people be wanting like advice and stuff. So it's been good. Like the Gucci thing was like dope. The Gucci Changemakers was dope, but like people think because it's like because of Powerhouse, they think like that's where I stop at. But like it done gave me like the fuel, like yeah, I ain't seen nothing yet. And like I tell people all the time, I'm so new to this art world. Like I'm only on year 2 with the trajectory I got going on, but like I'm not like I'm just getting started. Like I'm scratching the surface.
Why do you say 2 years? Because I heard you say you started painting 6 years ago.
Hmm.
What marks the start of the 2 years for you?
2 years is being like a full-time artist and actually knowing what I'm doing pretty much. Before, I kind of had like a different style before too. It was more, I would say cartoonish, more bold lines, more solid line work and stuff. But I would say it's been like 2 years for me now because like that's when I joined the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club and I actually started selling work. I sold a couple pieces like between the mark where I'm at now or even before I got to the Breakfast Club, but I was selling probably a piece like maybe like once every couple years and stuff. And I did that out of it's a spot called in Ferndale called Loose Cannon, a guy named Juan. I reached out to him on social media and I was like, can I hang this painting in your store? And he was like, yeah, you can hang it in there. Then after that, I just started bringing him like just paintings, but this was more of like artwork where it consists more of like cartoonish style, like hype beast, like sneakerhead. Like it was more of that pretty much. And I thought that's what my audience was, but those people, they, I don't know, they love like creativity, but they don't really care for like art basically. They care more about like the hype.
Are you talking about the businesses where your art is displayed or?
Oh, I'm talking about pretty much where I'm talking about like before I got to this 2 years. Like when I first started selling, like trying to sell paintings about like 6 years ago. That's what I was talking about.
Why do you think that is?
Well,
Like
well,
they care about the hype, not so much about the art.
it's just the day and age we live in, man. Like, everything's different pretty much. Like people care about more like the hype. They care about like what's on your phone, what's scrolling. So like you can't blame people, man. So yeah, that's just how it is. So I don't get upset about it at all. So yeah, people get pretty upset because they be thinking like, okay, like this new generation, like they values and just certain things ain't the correct way, but shoot, that's just how the world moves.
I mean, I feel like I've noticed more people taking an interest in art once NFT started to become popular, you
Yeah.
know, and art was topic of conversation for everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, ever since that, it's kind of been a little bit of a dwindle. But I do think that art is starting to kind of embed itself into pop culture, but then also in like every single industry.
Yeah.
You know, like you got big time performing artists talking about buying pieces at Art Basel. You have big time billionaires and property developers literally filling their entire mansion with artwork.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's the mindset I feel like, especially young people now, they see all these successful people, easily to find them online now. And then they just kind of try to mimic and imitate what those people are doing. So they're like, oh, they got a piece of art. I'm going to get a piece of art.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like it's beneficial. Like artists get to leverage that to their favor, you know?
Hmm.
So you had mentioned the Detroit artists or the Detroit Breakfast Club,
Yeah, Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast.
the Detroit Fine Artists Breakfast Club, which they meet at the Mary Grove College
Yeah,
every Monday.
every Monday.
Did you notice like a shift in the level of awareness in your art when you joined that? Or was there a specific club or thing that you did that you started to notice like a spike in sales or awareness or followers?
It was really just that, like the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club, like that's the thing that pretty much like kind of like it changed. Like I literally like it really changed me like overnight, basically. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I came there the first time, I didn't bring a piece. I just came to just like show me just to scope out everything. So I came, I looked, I'm like, okay. Then I brought a piece next time and I brought it. It was something like people never seen before. So um my first one sold that day. Then like after that, like honestly, since I think I think that had to be like August of 2022. Um I've been selling pieces at the Breakfast Club since then. Like, and with that, it was almost like every week. Every week I was coming and like I was just selling, and I got like I became a sponge. That's all I did. When you get into environments where you uncomfortable or you unfamiliar with, just become a sponge. And if you become a sponge, you'll find yourself like soon just even getting like so full and filled up. So I just became a sponge and soaked up everything.
It's like they say, you know, surround yourself with smarter people than you,
Yeah.
you know? So 2 years after joining the Breakfast Club, you win this huge, I would say, international level recognition because Gucci is a international brand.
Hmm.
Tell me about the moment that you got the call
Yeah.
that you won that award.
So when I got the call on Design Core, they called me. They told me I got it. They set up like some emails, some interviews, and like just some scheduling so we can get the ball rolling and stuff. Cause we had like photo shoots,
So
we had
who
like
were you?
press release.
Yeah, tell me, like, go deeper
Oh,
into
who
that because
was
I
it?
think there are
Oh,
some artists that are like wondering, like, what is going on behind the scenes.
I talked to a lady. Her name Kiana. She works with Design Core. I believe she like one of they like co-founders or like co-executives or something. So she called me. That's the person I've been dealing with a lot. And she one that told me. Then she kind of just reached out to me, and Design Core very good throughout this whole process because like not in a bad way, but they been like using me like a lot. So like I remember they had like a shirt just for a month of design that Tony Hooligan designed. He's another Detroit artist. But there's like, we want you to be in this photo shoot. So like people they just I just been seeing my face like everywhere. Like Detroit Free Press, like Detroit, like all the different like Detroit platforms on IG, like telling you like different events and stuff in Detroit. Like I kind of just been on everything.
Have you
So
soaked
yeah.
that in yet? Seeing your face everywhere.
Yeah, I done soaked it in. I think I'm just pretty good at just like dealing with stuff like that. And I celebrate, but I don't never let stuff just like get me big headed, pretty much. Like I do celebrate it. I take it all in. I be proud, I be happy, but I just don't let like stuff change me basically. I always try to like stay the same and stay grounded pretty much. So yeah, cause I feel like something bigger gonna come from this, honestly. Like I'm like this was dope. And the other thing too, people gotta realize too, like with the mural, it was really dope too. But I don't know. You can ask artists too. I feel like a lot of artists, especially muralists, they don't get connected to like public work
What
because
does that mean?
cause it's out in the public. Like it's there. It's not going nowhere. Like it's just there. So once you done did it, you done did it. Then like really with murals too, it's about how like the weather or the environment even gonna handle your mural. You don't know how like that weather environment gonna like impact your mural. So you kind of do it, you just let it go. Then you just people appreciate it, I guess, when they like walking past and stuff. So yeah, I think that's just the most people you can have people do for artwork is just appreciate it.
Where's the mural located?
So it's located on the side of the Siren Hotel, I believe. Not mistaken, I think that's Broadway and another street. I don't know off the top of my head.
Is it? It's by the Gucci store though, right?
Is so Gucci is like around is up the street and like around the corner. The best thing I can like relate to and people can know where it's at, it's directly on the side of the Siren Hotel and it's next to the it's right across the street from the YMCA and it's diagonal from Brakeman. But if you're at Queens and you're having a drink outside, you can see the mural from outside too.
So tell me a little bit about the piece that you selected for that specific submission for the Gucci Changemaker.
So that piece is called Collard Greens, pretty much, and I did that piece based off of my family. So where I got the title, I got the concept of the piece was about I want to say last Christmas. I was going through some family like photos and stuff at my grandfather's house, and I was like, it'd be cool to start using like my family as like references and stuff. So I stumbled across some pictures and I was like, let me just use my family because the theme for the mural was family. And once I heard that and I already had my concepts, like that's why I tell people too, like always like plant seeds because you never know like when they're ready to grow. So like me getting in these like family pictures, I didn't even know how I was gonna utilize them. And I already started coming up with concepts and stuff. And when the Gucci thing came about, I already had my concept because I was already like, it was already pre-planned pretty much. So I always, I guess, keep stuff in the chamber. That's like a saying people say, like, I keep stuff in the chamber. Like, I keep stuff like tucked away. Like, I'm always working because you never know when it's time for you to use that idea or bring it to life. So I tell people, if you got an idea, execute it right then and there, but you might not execute it like just at that period of time, but it's something you might be able to pull back out later. So like never sleep on like your ideas pretty much.
I also think there's a level of manifesting what you want. So if you want your work to be in the Met, or if you want your work to be in some of the most world famous museums or galleries, you create as if you're creating for that specific showcase.
And I told myself, like, when I got when they did the open call, and like I had friends that submitted, like I had like my friend Tony, Phil might have submitted, Phil Simpson, Joe Casino, he a good friend of ours. He submitted and he was like in the top 3 with me, like a finalist. But I told myself when I first got that email and like I read it, I seen the concept and I seen everything, I'm like, oh, I got this. So yeah, I was like, I'm getting this. Like, not necessarily saying I got this, I was just like, I'm getting that. Like,
You already knew it was yours.
yeah, like I just put my like stamp on it pretty much. So yeah. Just like having a sense of like, it's not cockiness, but you should always have like confidence, like that you know you're gonna execute it.
You
That's the
exist your
only way.
reality.
Yeah.
Like you can't feel bad for wanting something. This is your life. This is
Yeah.
your world.
Mm-hmm.
You have to want it. You
Yeah.
have to own it already before you have it physically.
Yeah.
What would you say is still missing in specifically the art community in Detroit?
Oh, I can say it. Shoot, for real. Only one that's like near downtown is it's in Midtown, but it's George Nomney. He got a gallery really right down the street, honestly.
It's
But
actually right next door.
yeah, that's what I figured. But I would say like having a space where I feel comfortable pretty much. So having like a gallery that's, I wouldn't say it might not be too traditional, but I want to adopt it and almost got this stamp of approval from like traditional galleries pretty much, because I would like to see a gallery where like people like me can flourish pretty much. And I would say self-taught artists, because galleries, they really tackle and like really go after like educated artists, like gotta have some type of formal training and degree behind it, which I'm all for. And I think that's definitely the way.
Are you saying like an artist-owned gallery?
Um, yeah, but like more for like just like if you just have talent, cause like I'm a type of individual, like I have talent, but like I might not have that degree. Some people just got like God given talent, and you can't do anything about it. So I would have like more. I would have a gallery that's just still on the traditional, on a traditional perspective, because that's the thing that makes like these other galleries and just like people just doing art like as a craft like stand out. I do still much like approve and want to go to the agenda of a traditional gallery, but the thing about my gallery, if I'm promoting artists and stuff, I'm attacking that marketing. I'm attacking the social media. Like they having a website up. We're getting video work done behind them all the time. Like my artists, like making sure they get that video so they get paid just like making content. So
Understanding that it's more than just creating the piece. You're creating a brand.
yeah. So I would just teach like my artists just like pretty much like brand identity, and like
That would be so dope. Like kind of like the art academy.
yeah, definitely. And like it would just be just, but the other thing too is with me, like anytime I'm dealing with an artist, I'm very hands-on. So like it's not me dictating like what they should paint or like what they should do, but I put a little bit of my input, because like I think I just have an eye just for knowing like what's good pretty much. I'm still learning about like art. I'm learning about that every day, but when it just comes to like naturally just like making something look good, that's just my God-given talent.
Dude, I can agree and understand and relate to that, because that's something that most businesses can't fully comprehend. When you say I just know. You can't explain it, you can't put it into words. And a lot of times I get it, people that are contributing funds or investors, whatever, they want more data or measurable metrics. But I think sometimes when it comes to creativity and art, it's not something that can be measured by the hour. You know, it's not something that you can really fully put into words sometimes. You just, like how you said, you just know, you know?
I think what it is, like, we live in a day and age now. So, like, you go back 20 years, I would say. You got companies like simply as like a McDonald's, like Burger King. You might have like just like a brand like Nike, all that stuff. What the day and age we live in today, especially with our phones and social media, we just done got like access and we done got the tools. So the same stuff they was doing like 10, 20, 10, 30 years ago where like so many people couldn't get to the access to make their brand or make anything look almost like big or like enormous. Like people can do that themselves individually with social media. So now a person like you can compete with a big brand. And what these big brands doing now, like they're not paying celebrities no more. They're not paying just any type of people no more. The main person now they going after, they paying influencers now. Cause I got a friend right now, she actually like a talent coach actually. And what her job is, she works for a company and what they do is they get with other big companies like Cheetos or Walmart or whatever. And they get with influencers that's gonna have like the people to get people the most views and people gonna pay the most attention to them and they give them a payout. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice payout.
And even more, I think it's talent. You know, like brands want to leverage talent. So if like they see someone packed with talent, they're gonna say, "What would you do to help boost awareness for our brand or bring attention to our brand?" And it's so because I was just having a conversation with someone a couple days ago, and we were talking about a possible collaboration because they've been approached by a pretty well-known brand, and this person is a choreographer, and they were asking me like, what would I do if I were to tackle this? And I'm like, well, I mean, there's no template, there's no right or wrong. It's literally the ideas in your mind, like the crazy wildest ideas that you can come up with. Those are usually the ones that end up hitting with the market because it's something that nobody's ever seen before. It's something that generates emotion, So we were playing around with an idea where it's like it's a soda brand, right? And it's like, so what can this choreographer do with the soda brand? It's like, well, you can, we were coming up with narratives and ideas of like how to use motion, how to use dance and choreography to bring interest into this specific product because it's literally liquid, right? But when you add in music, you add in lights, you add in dance, you add in beat, you add in, all these different pieces to the recipe, it creates this like super delicious piece of media or content that people just like to enjoy, consume, get excited about, share it. Sharing is a huge performance metric right now on a lot of platforms. So it's really, there's no limitations. Like it doesn't matter what your product is. I think that creativity and talent really are huge assets to big brands now. So I agree with you. You don't have to be, it's not like before, like when I graduated from college, people were like, I'm going to work for this brand or I'm going to work for this. Like you're now the brand.
Yeah, I would say influencers and creatives are the new jingle writers for companies. That's if that's like the best like way to put it, like that's what I would say pretty much.
Who's an artist that you would like to collaborate with if you had the opportunity to do a mural on any building that you wanted in Detroit?
If I was to pick anybody, I kind of already been like working on that narrative now, but it would be my really good friend Joe Casino. It's just with him, I know like pretty much if we is to like get like an opportunity to do like a project to get like a lot of recognition, I know with him, I don't really believe in kind of doing one time things, like only except if it's like a piece of work. But like I like residual stuff. I like stuff that keep coming back. So I know with him, if we was able to like be able to execute like a mural that we want to do, like it'd be something that I just keep continuing pretty much. Then with Joe, I'm already content and like we just like how we work together pretty much. Like we almost like a yin and a yang pretty much. So yeah. And I think with him I can pretty much execute any project basically.
Do you own any Cashi's pieces?
Yeah, I own one right now. I got one that's like early works. I got like an abstract work. I'm trying to get him to get back on it because the piece I got, it worked very much good like in commercial spaces. And it was just I think it just worked because like the piece that I got, it's just unusual with like anybody else kind of have out here. But I really like Joe work because it's very clean. So yeah.
Joe is a good friend of both of ours and
Yeah.
super talented artist. He actually created a custom piece for my sister for her wedding of our mother.
Yeah.
Um and it just turned out it was I have a video that I'll share with you later, but
Mhm.
the thing about art, it's so powerful. It can spark happiness. It can spark um not sad, but just remind you of something that, you know, floods the tears. Um but Joe is somebody that I think, and I agree with you, his career is just getting started. And I think that would be a cool collaboration to be able to see uh Oshun and Joe Casino piece
Yeah.
like on one of the big tall skyscrapers, bro. Bro, I would start actually coming up with the concept now because
Yeah.
who knows, somebody watching this podcast can be like, yo, I know the right person.
Yeah, we always sending like working on different proposals. Like we always just like kind of keep stuff in the bag. So we just keep the motion keep going. We don't let stuff die. So yeah.
Who's an artist that it could be, you know, living or passed on that you would love to own a piece of their work one day?
Um so living, let me see. I would say like Kerry James Marshall for sure. But honestly, now that I know a lot about art and I know about my history and stuff, I would get I believe his name is Leroy Foster. I would get one of his pieces. And I would get one of his pieces because he is one of those like black artists pretty much, and I believe he's from Detroit too. Deceased, but he's one of those artists that was very, very early in the game, like early. His work looks very like Renaissance, but it's like Renaissance where like I feel like a black man did it, but his work is like is dope. Like every time I look at his work, first time I seen his work was at Cranbrook, but they gave him like a whole exhibition like display. Like he had his whole room and like his work just like spoke to me a lot.
I saw one of his pieces at the Scarab Club before.
Yeah, so yeah, like I wanna get more into like getting like more deceased people pretty much if I can. So yeah.
So share a little bit about your process when you're creating a piece or conceptualizing a piece. What's going through your head? What's your process, your routine?
So when I'm working on a new series, I just did it yesterday. I gotta clean my house. I gotta make sure like everything's clean because with my studio and stuff, it does get like crazy in there, especially like after a project. So I gotta like find everything to see like I have all my materials because I go through like a good number of materials and stuff. But I start off going through my references. So I go through like photos. I look through photos. I might go through them on my phone, might go through them like in person, like physically. But what I do is I go through my photos, see what I like, pick out probably like a good, sometimes it ranges from 3 pictures, sometimes it ranges all the way to about 20 to 60 pictures. But I get all my references together. We go to Photoshop. I do my thing in Photoshop. Photoshop has done a lot for me. Like I love Photoshop, and I honestly make my piece in there. If I wanted to, honestly, I could sell the digital prints if I wanted to. Like I never like I wouldn't have to ever get into painting if I really wanted to. I could just sell the digitals, but I feel like it's just more strategic
Do you
painting.
offer prints of your work?
Nah, not right now. I'm the type of person like cause I collect as well. I only like collecting original pieces. So like I just haven't provided that to like people yet, honestly. Um I'll get there soon and start doing prints, but like I really don't care for prints. Because me personally, I don't collect prints. So yeah, unless they're like embellished or they're like artist proof.
What's going on in the background? Are you listening to music, podcasts? Is it silent?
So normally, so I'll wake up. So the way I traditionally like to paint, I like to start from morning to sometimes night, but not for real. I stop around like 5, 6 o'clock. But I like to start as soon as I wake up. So cup of coffee, that's my thing always. I get to my canvas and usually mornings like podcast interview times. So
Who are
I
some of your top podcasts that you listen to?
top podcasts. I'm done with it because I done listened to that series probably like a million times, but it's the Blueprint by Complex and it features like a lot of like creatives. And it's kind of like this. They sit down and they kind of talk and give they like timeline of like their journey of like where they came from. That um and just different interviews and stuff.
What would you say makes murals such powerful tools for social commentary for, important topics in the community?
I would say murals definitely like beautify like your city pretty much or like your environment. So like I feel like it gives like the actual physical city like energy. It gives them like creativity. It gives them inspiration to do things. So like I feel like that's what murals like jobs are pretty much. It's just pretty much to beautify and inspire the public basically.
Who are some of your favorite local muralists?
Local. I got three right now off the top of my head for sure. I got Tony Hooligan. Tony Hooligan got to be like one of my favorite because I was looking at his story from like the outside looking in for like a while because I'm from Pontiac. But Tony was like pretty much him and his group, the Hooligans. That was like one of the first people that I saw pretty much like was able to like tap into like funding and like develop a program and get some actual nice funding through the city of Detroit to like pretty much help out like the surrounding communities pretty much. And it was like really on a such positive strength. I would say him for sure. Phil Simpson, he's the guy that's been doing murals before everybody's doing murals. So Phil just gets a lot of credit, and just because he's a great guy too, like he always getting like pretty much like everybody giving him his flowers pretty much. Then I would say one artist that's not newer, but like hasn't been doing it as long as them is Aijana Cortez.
Mhm.
She a really, really good artist, like real good. She is awesome with it. And
Her method
yeah.
of colors is
Mhm.
just like so captivating.
Nobody else does what she does because she use like these neon pigments and stuff. So like she's just sweet. Then the how fast she is with knocking out these murals, like it's crazy.
She
So
did a piece of you, right?
yeah, she did a piece for one she did a show that she just had not too long ago. And she had me in there and she used me as one of her muse and like basically that's a part of her narrative. She only paints black males. And she said she does that because she feel like it's this thing that other people, pretty much the public, that they don't see in black males, which make them just like very like beautiful. So that's like her reason why of like just trying to like captivate like pretty much like that image of them.
Yeah, it's such an easy style to identify her style because she never uses dark shades.
Yeah.
She always uses like bright pink neons, purples, and it's such a cool contrast to what people would expect.
Yeah.
You know? What are your thoughts on legacy? When you hear the word legacy as an artist, is that something you think about when you're creating, or is that not something that even like
That's basically like my narrative and why I paint. Like I don't do it for me. I just do it for like the next person. Anybody that has like some type of family, it just don't gotta be kids. It could be anything. But I feel like what family should do is always providing or try to continue like your name pretty much. So even just like the trajectory of like pretty much how like back in the day it was like kings and queens and stuff like that. So like I'm just trying to create like generational wealth and I'm just trying to make it pretty much so like my kids would just like be like set for life pretty much. So yeah.
do you prefer one over the other, painting on a canvas as opposed to on a wall?
I done got to the point with my career. Now I used to question myself, like wanting just to stay in one lane or one medium, but like now I'm enjoying like not being able to be boxed in pretty much, and like I feel like that's even another higher level when you get to just being like I would say like pretty much a creative or even like an entrepreneur, where like you just at some point you just don't got to be boxed in anymore. Like almost like I say my long term goal is to pretty much be a creative director, pretty much. So.
And I think tying into legacy, I mean, when you create a piece of work on a wall, more than likely that piece may outlive most of the artists, because if 100 years from now there's going to be a whole new population of people, but your work will still live on. And you know what's interesting that I just thought about is that we're going to be the first generation where people can go back to your, because I know that I forget the name of the street where you have a piece and then you have your Instagram handle right by the pillar. You know what I'm talking about? Over there by the train, the Amtrak train station. 100 years from now, somebody will be able to drive past that and go to your Instagram and look through your history. That's a cool concept. What, like, have you thought about that? Like how other people are going to interact with all the different forms of media that you put out, whether it's pictures, obviously artwork, but videos, and how it tells the story and your legacy?
I think with me too, like that's why like I do murals, but I think I really care for like the physical, tangible art where it's like just on canvas pretty much, because I like that because I'm all about like longevity pretty much. And like it's something that's the only thing about murals, like it's tough, like even for muralists, you gotta like think like, okay, I'm making this, but it might it might not always stay here. Like it might be another mural up one day. It might get painted over. So like I love like longevity pretty much. So that's like my thing. That's what I really believe in.
What's the biggest challenge when it comes to the difference between, I mean, obviously a canvas, it's more controllable, but what have you found to be the biggest challenge when it comes to creating a piece like a public piece?
Like a public piece? I would say just have something pretty much if it's a public piece, like try to have something where like everybody's just gonna be able to relate to. So yeah, I would try to have something universal, but at the same time have something where you speaking or like you're speaking out like your voice pretty much. So yeah, cause like you speaking out and like saying your voice, I done seen it plenty of times. I paint something and like people like, oh my God, I can relate to that. Then at that point, y'all must feel like the same person.
In what sense? How have they shared their ability to relate?
So I did this mural like in the alleyway. It's this restaurant that had opened up. It's off Congress. I think it's called Nevo Soul. But I did that whole alleyway, and it was more kind of like theme where it's like my older style, where it's more like kind of cartoon. It's more like things like Astro Boy. You can even say like Super Mario Bro Brothers. A lot of people would just even give me those concepts. Like they see something in there, they're like, "Oh my God, Dragon Ball Z! Oh my God, Super Mario Brothers!" Like Astro, like just getting people where I guess you create a connection.
Because your style, when it comes to the canvas, it's
Yeah,
more family members.
yeah.
Do your murals take a different approach? Like, what's your strategy, or what's the difference in your strategy when you're coming up with a concept for a mural compared to a concept for canvas?
So for a mural, I would say, you honestly you really focusing on like coverage pretty much. So like for murals, from my understanding, you don't want to do a lot of like smaller images. You want to do like even like just big images that like kind of stretch pretty much. Cause like doing like them smaller images, stuff can kind of get lost because from a mural, you're never looking at it close up. You always like looking back pretty much. So that would be like my only thing when I'm doing doing like murals pretty much. Then for me, I feel like I'm still learning when it comes to like doing murals. So a lot of times I will like just switch up my style. But like I said, I'm getting to the point as an artist, like I'm not scared to like not like I don't want to be boxed in. So like I always gotta display the same thing. Like I can switch it up sometimes and people can't tell me like what I can and can't do. And like I feel like that's the best like power or pretty much like energy to have when you go into like your career or life. Just like having the freedom to pretty much do what you want to do and like somebody not like saying like yay or nay.
What's next for Oshun Williams? What like it, and when I say that, I'm not referencing to what's coming up. I mean, I would like to hear
Yeah.
what's coming up for you, like what events or exhibitions you got on the pipeline. But as creatives, we have a list of things that we want to get to.
Mhm.
And often some of those things we never bring to fruition just because time or we get, so busy or something a bigger opportunity can come. But share a couple things on that list of aspirations that
Yeah.
you want to accomplish.
Stuff that I got coming up right now. So I'm looking, so the piece I did for the Siren Hotel, the Gucci Changemakers, I'm looking to actually extend that series. So I'm about to build a body of work out of that. So like people felt good about the piece I did for the Siren. Imagine seeing like I guess 10 to 20 pieces with like the same like equal like energy pretty much. So working on that um every day, working on this company with my other business partner, our friend Joe Casino, that's Detroit Black Arts. That's a buy sell trade platform that we have, and it also be like a curation company. And then we're looking for a building too, so more than likely it's gonna be a gallery as well. So yeah, so just working on those things and like honestly, like not to keep going back to it, but not feeling boxed in no more. So thinking about getting back into clothes. I'm documenting stuff for me just as an artist now. So really just like the documenting, extending the series, then DBA right now. Those are all the things that's in the pipeline.
Have you thought about publishing a book at one point? Like, and
But
I think because I just had the idea because you were saying you were talking about series, and
yeah,
I think it'd be cool to have an entire book of chapters of all
yeah,
your series, like kind of like a table book.
yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, anything is really like up in the air right now. All I can do is just keep I could keep living in the moment today, but one thing I always do, I just prepare for tomorrow. That's all I always do. Like I always gonna live good that day, but I'm always gonna make sure tomorrow gonna be super solid. So I'm excited, and we just gonna see how it goes.
What's one piece of advice that you would share with an artist that looks at your career and thinks, wow, like
Yeah,
he says it's only been 2 years and he's already,
yeah,
developed relationships with brands like Gucci,
yeah.
and they may be thinking they've been doing this for 10 plus years and they haven't seen growth or the level of growth that they want. What advice would you give to them to experience new heights, new levels of growth?
So if you just speaking, just following the path of just being an artist, the first thing I can absolutely say that artists can do just to improve their careers, you gotta collect too. You gotta buy artwork too. And just don't buy like just people work. Get a little bit try to get a little strategic with it. Like buy like artists that's actually like an investment at the point, you feel me? Like do stuff like that. I will focus really on that marketing, like yo, social media. I tell people all the time, they like, how are you doing what you doing? And I pull out my phone. I'm like, this little thing right here.
Can you get more specific on that? Like, what tangible
With
advice
your
can you
phone.
give to artists when it comes to marketing?
So I develop a good relationship with a photographer and videographer. So like we done developed such a great relationship that we barter. So I don't pay them. Sometimes I might pay, but it's not at the rate that some other people might pay because of our relationship. So
So you exchange their services for your work.
yeah, then based on a lot of times just the relationship when like you dealing with an individual, their rates might be different than what they normally might charge pretty much because of like my videographer, he look at us like what he's creating as me, creating for me, he look at as art. Like the same way like I'm doing pretty much. So yeah. I would say that find a narrative. Like find why you're painting. Like and be vulnerable. Stop just doing stuff. Tell your story. Um I'm not saying over exaggerate, not nothing like that, but just make a story. Like not make a story, but just live your story pretty much and like just expand it as like wide and just like big as possible. And if you can do that, like I think you would be good. Like just collect, find your narrative and like really get on your branding. That's all. Not even just marketing. I would say branding, like branding identity, because that covers a lot of things.
So, what are some other events, networking events, or groups like the Detroit Fine Artists Breakfast Club that you would recommend to artists?
I would say go to art exhibitions all the time and stuff always going on. Like with art exhibition, especially in Detroit. You can always find them on IG pretty much. Um, Other thing I would say is going to like different activities that have at the different museums and stuff around here. And just you one thing you gotta do too, somebody told me a while ago, you gotta know artists, or you gotta not even just artists. You gotta know your local artists, especially being in Detroit. It don't make no sense you not knowing like local talent. I can see it for like somewhere else, and like it's just not as like hot as Detroit. But Detroit has so much talent in their backyard. Like if you can't name like 10 local artists, then you're not even doing your homework. So do your homework pretty much. That's what I would say. So yeah.
Oshun, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch your career blossom and develop. I see a lot of exciting things happening for you. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.